Sarah vanished from my birthday party just after she took a phone call. One moment she was there, the center of my world, as she had been for a decade. And the next, she was gone without a word. The next morning, as the early light filtered into my apartment, I saw the explanation plastered on social media. Her old flame, Mark, had posted a picture. It was a photo of Sarah, asleep in what looked like a hotel room, her face peaceful and unguarded. The caption read, "Thank you for being there when I felt so helpless and hopeless." It was a simple, public declaration that told me everything I needed to know. In that single, quiet moment, staring at the screen of my phone, I felt the weight of 10 years of unrequited hope finally lift. It wasn't a crash, but a slow, deliberate release. I let go of it all and erased her from my heart. A few days later, she reappeared, but she wasn't alone. When she showed up at my front door, Mark was with her, his arm linked casually with hers. She smiled, a little apologetically, and gently touched Mark's cheek, her eyes filled with a warmth I had always wished was directed at me. It was a strange sensation. For 10 years, the very idea of her with another man would have twisted my stomach into knots. Yet as I stood there watching her dote on him right in front of me, I felt nothing. Not a single pang of jealousy or upset. I managed my usual smile and leaned against the doorframe. "What brings you here?" Sarah held out a small, neatly wrapped box. "Sorry for rushing out the other day," she said. "I didn't get a chance to give you your birthday present." I took the gift, the weight of it feeling insignificant in my hand. "Thanks," I replied, my voice a little faint. She continued, her tone bright and casual. "Mark and I are about to grab a bite. Want to join us?" I waved a hand dismissively. "No, thanks. I don't want to be a third wheel." As I began to close the door, I caught her turning to Mark, her voice lowered but still audible. "See, my relationship with Ethan isn't what you thought." Mark just held her arm a little tighter and said, "All right, I get it now. My bad for misunderstanding." A dry chuckle escaped my lips. So that was it. That was the purpose of this visit. After a decade of my devotion, the moment she finally got the guy of her dreams, I was unceremoniously downgraded to just a friend, a prop used to reassure her new boyfriend. What truly stung, though, was being made to feel like I was the one intruding on their story. A deep sense of offense settled in my chest. Back inside my apartment, I flopped onto the couch and tossed her gift onto the coffee table, unopened. Without the pressure of her presence, I felt an unexpected wave of relief, a strange and welcome lightness. Though Sarah and I didn't work for the same company, our offices were in the same high-rise building. She was on the 22nd floor, and I was on the 21st. I knew she was a picky eater and often skipped breakfast, which had led to recurring stomach issues. Because our offices were so close, for years I had made it my routine to get up an hour earlier every single day to prepare a warm breakfast, which I would bring to her on my way into work. One morning, however, I showed up at my desk empty-handed. My colleague noticed immediately. "No breakfast delivery for the lady upstairs today?" he teased. "Did you two have a spat?" I just smiled and shook my head. "Nah, just too tired to keep it up every morning." After a bit of friendly chatter, I pushed the entire breakfast routine from my mind. 3 days passed before Sarah came down to the 21st floor to find me. She looked a bit off, her brow slightly furrowed. "Why haven't you been bringing me breakfast lately?" she asked. There was a nonchalant, almost entitled expression on her face that made me pause. I couldn't help the thought that bubbled up. "I can't bring you breakfast every day for the rest of my life, can I?" She seemed taken aback by my directness, but didn't get a chance to say a word before a call came through to my desk phone. After hanging up, I simply said, "The boss is checking on everyone's progress. Gotta go." I walked away, leaving her standing there with a stunned look on her face. During a work break a few days later, I was scrolling through my social media feed when I saw that Mark had just posted a new video. The caption read, "Improvisation by my little troublemaker." The video showed a tabby cat gleefully tearing apart a dark blue scarf. I recognized it instantly. It was a scarf I had brought back for Sarah from a trip abroad the previous winter. Friends had commented, teasing Mark about letting his cat waste such an expensive item. It was a deliberate act, a clear message, and I understood it perfectly. Just then, my friend Leo texted me. "Hey, that scarf being shredded by Mark's cat, isn't that the one you got for Sarah last year?" I calmly typed back, "Yeah, that's the one." I was surprised at my own newfound calmness. I sent Leo another text. "Do you think I'll ever really stop liking her?" Leo, who had grown tired of my long-standing predicament, messaged back almost instantly. "No way. If you really want to stop liking her, you need to throw away every single birthday gift she's given you over the last 10 years. Every gift Sarah had ever given me was cherished, kept safely in a box." Hearing Leo's suggestion, I realized with a jolt that I hadn't even opened her belated birthday gift from this year. Surprisingly, I felt no eagerness to find out what was inside. A few more days went by, and as I was exiting the elevator after work, Sarah approached me. "Care to catch a movie with me tonight?" she asked, her tone as casual as ever. "Why not ask your boyfriend?" I responded. Sarah shrugged. "He's not into sci-fi." I chuckled. "Me neither, honestly." The truth was, I wasn't a huge sci-fi fan, but I had bought 2 tickets for that very movie the moment they went on pre-sale weeks ago, just for her. I had been into her for 10 years, always catering to her preferences, her likes and dislikes becoming my own. If she hadn't brought it up, I would have completely forgotten to get a refund for those tickets. Sarah was caught off guard by my refusal and gave me a long, searching look. With a small smile, she said, "I guess I'll just ask someone else then." I nodded, my voice calm. "All right, take care." As I walked past her, she called out, "What's up with you lately?" I paused, turning back with a curious expression. "What do you mean?" She hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "Never mind. Maybe it's just me. Head home." On my way home, I processed the refund for those movie tickets. Seeing the $80 pop back into my bank account made me unexpectedly happy, like I had found money on the street, even though it had been my own to begin with. Being single for so long can feel lonely, especially for someone like me who's been on his own from the very start. Yet, in that moment, I didn't regret declining Sarah's movie invitation for a second. Mark's recent video post had been a stark reminder of my place in her life. But even without it, I had no intention of coming between them. As I was pondering what to do with my newly free evening, my phone rang. It was Leo. "Hey man, I need a huge favor." Tasked with an urgent request, I found myself rushing to the airport. Just as I was about to dial the number Leo had given me, I felt a light tap on my shoulder. I turned around and looked up slightly at the girl standing before me. She was dressed in casual clothes, with headphones resting around her neck and a guitar case slung over her back. Her smile was pure and genuinely beautiful, and it left me momentarily dazed. For 10 years, the only woman I had ever truly cared about was Sarah. I was never interested in the beautiful women my friends would point out, but unexpectedly, this girl in front of me caught my eye. Her name was Chloe, a recent university graduate and Leo's cousin. I snapped back to reality and offered her a smile. "Leo got the dates wrong," I explained. "He's out of town on business and won't be back until tomorrow." Chloe chuckled, not seeming bothered at all. "Well, I guess I'll have to ask Ethan to put me up for the night." I was a bit taken aback. Leo had only asked me to pick her up, not to host her. When I didn't respond right away, she continued, "With my brother away and hotels being so expensive, and me being just a poor graduate." She pulled a sad face, looking at me with pitiful eyes. It left me a bit dazed, but I managed to say, "I don't have a spare room at my place." Chloe's grin was wide and immediate, I can crash on the couch, or make a bed on the floor. I'm not picky. On the way home, I couldn't help but suggest, let me just book you a hotel room. It'll be more comfortable. Chloe just smiled and shook her head. No way, Ethan. Don't spend money on me. Besides, would you really let a girl stay out all alone? What if something happened? How would you explain that to my brother? She had a point. Once Chloe got to my place, she acted as if she belonged there. She volunteered to help make dinner, so I found myself relaxing on the couch playing some games on my phone. When she called me for dinner and saw the game I was playing, her eyes lit up. Ethan, you play this too? Let's play some rounds after we eat. Before I could reply, my phone rang. It was Sarah. My eyes paused on the screen for a moment before I answered. Sarah's voice came through, cheerful and oblivious. Just finished a movie. I got some crawfish. Want to share? I replied nonchalantly, Can't. My throat's been a bit off lately. Can't handle spicy crawfish. How about I bring over some wonton soup then? She persisted. I was about to decline again when Chloe, who was setting the table, yelled out from the kitchen, Ethan, hurry up and try my spicy beef noodles before they get mushy. On the phone, Sarah paused for a moment. Then, in a tone that was hard to read, she asked, Is there a woman over there? I instinctively glanced at Chloe, who met my gaze with a bright, knowing smile. Looking at the 2 steaming bowls of noodles on the table, I felt a sudden pang of hunger. I need to eat now, I said, ending the call without directly answering Sarah's question. While we were eating, Chloe remarked, I remember you loved spicy food when you visited our hometown with my brother 5 years ago. Has your taste changed? Leo and I were college buddies, and 5 years ago I had visited his hometown for his 20th birthday. That's when I had first met Chloe. She had hung out with us every day for that week, and we had become close back then, though 5 years of living in different cities had created some distance. Chloe's comment felt like she was effortlessly bridging that gap. After taking a bite of the noodles, I praised her cooking. This is good enough to start your own noodle shop. Chloe smiled shyly. I'm glad you like it. I also made some herbal tea. I'll get us some after we finish. I watched her busying herself in my kitchen, feeling a flicker of youthful warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. What exactly had kept me bonded to just Sarah for 10 whole years? The next morning, shortly after I reached my office, Sarah showed up with breakfast. Handing it to me, she smiled. Freshly bought congee with preserved egg and lean meat. You should eat it while it's hot. I was taken aback and didn't reach for it. Sarah pushed the container into my hands. I remembered how you always brought me breakfast, and I never did anything for you. I thought that was unfair. I already ate, I said, trying to give it back. Sarah simply waved it off. That's your choice to have eaten, and this is my choice to bring it. Do what you will with it. I've got to get back to work. As she walked away, she halted, turned back with a grin, and asked casually, So, who was that girl at your place last night? Just a cousin from back home, I told her. Her smile deepened. Oh, so a relative. She had misunderstood, but I didn't bother to correct her. Back at my desk, a coworker teased me. Looks like you'll soon win over the lady upstairs. I just laughed, offering him the congee. I already had breakfast. Want it? I truly had eaten earlier. Chloe had made millet porridge and an egg pancake. My colleague gladly took the food. I was just about to order takeout. This works out perfectly. I didn't usually go home for lunch, but I got a call from Chloe around noon. Ethan, I left without the key to your house. I sent her the office address, asking her to call me once she arrived. Instead, she just came straight up to the office floor. It was the lunchtime rush, and the office was full of my colleagues. Chloe's arrival turned more than a few heads. Her fair skin and beautiful face, combined with a pleasant voice, created quite a stir as she called my name. She had biked over, and there was a cool and fresh breeze about her. I couldn't help but feel a rush of something contagious, a sudden feeling that I wanted to start dating again, even if it was just my imagination. Ignoring the knowing looks from my coworkers, I hurried Chloe out of the office. I handed her a spare key, and upon learning she hadn't eaten yet, I took her to a nearby restaurant. During lunch, she said, "I contacted my brother, and he's tied up with something. Can I stay at your place for a bit longer?" I agreed without hesitation. She'd already stayed one night, and I didn't mind at all. Her cooking was great, she played games with me, and she was a nice break in my usual monotonous routine. While we were eating, Sarah and a few of her colleagues came down from a private room upstairs and happened to see us. Her smile faded a bit. After saying a few words to her colleagues, she walked over to our table alone. "Who's this?" Sarah gave Chloe a quick, appraising glance, her tone carrying a hint of coldness, her eyes deep and unreadable. To my surprise, Chloe, who was always so gentle around me, just sneered slightly and ignored Sarah completely. I looked at Sarah and said calmly, "This is my sister. She's staying at my place temporarily." Upon hearing this, Sarah's expression relaxed into a knowing smile, but her relief was short-lived. Chloe put down her chopsticks, a smirk playing on her lips. She raised an eyebrow, stood up, and extended her hand. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Chloe, Ethan's cousin through his brother, Leo." Sarah's smile froze for a moment. She quickly recovered, reaching out to shake Chloe's hand. "Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah." She then turned to look at me, her indifferent eyes now showing a subtle hint of anger, as if blaming me for not explaining Chloe's background more clearly. After a moment, Sarah said with a faint smile, "Enjoy your meal. I'll be going now." Before I could respond, Chloe waved and said with a bright smile, "Goodbye. Ethan and I won't see you off." Sarah's face darkened a bit as she brushed past me, letting out a small, sarcastic snort. Later that evening, while I was at home eating another delicious dinner that Chloe had made, Sarah unexpectedly called. As soon as I answered, her hostile voice came through the phone. "Ethan, aren't you ashamed of yourself living with a girl?" I was both amused and annoyed. "I'm just letting my brother's sister stay for a few days. How does that possibly concern you?" Across the table, Chloe slowly put down her chopsticks, listening intently. "Ethan, I'm saying this for your own good." Sarah's voice grew more serious. I couldn't help but look up at Chloe, then answered Sarah with a chuckle. "Seems like you've got it all wrong. I'm 4 years older than her. If there's any funny business going on, shouldn't you be worried for her, not me?" Across from me, Chloe's previously cool eyes brightened, and she stared at me intently, her expression full of amusement. Sarah was caught off guard by what I said, and paused for a moment before gritting her teeth and asking, "Do you even realize what you're saying?" I casually raised an eyebrow. "Sarah, there are things I should have cleared up with you a long time ago. I didn't think it was necessary before, but I do now." I paused briefly, then continued. "Since you have a boyfriend now, let's keep our distance. I don't want Mark misunderstanding our relationship. And as for my own business, please stay out of it. I'm an adult, and I think through my decisions." Sarah was silent for a while, then said in a soft, resigned voice, "Mark won't misunderstand." "Maybe," I chuckled, and after hanging up, Chloe asked, "Did I cause any trouble for you, Ethan?" I shook my head and smiled. "She's just meddling." A flash of something crossed Chloe's eyes, as if she had something on her mind, but soon she was smiling again, as if nothing had happened. I thought that after the call with Sarah, she wouldn't interfere with my affairs again, and I'd finally have some peace. But I never expected that later that night, Mark would post something in our college alumni group chat. He angrily called me out by name, writing, "I've never seen a guy this cheap. Says he won't be our third wheel but secretly tries to steal my girlfriend. What a hypocrite." A bunch of our former classmates asked who he was talking about, and he bluntly replied, "Ethan." I was woken up in the middle of the night by a call from Leo. From his angry tone, I pieced together the whole story. I never had any intention of interfering in Sarah and Mark's relationship. Since the day they got together, I had already given up on my 10-year wait and stopped pursuing her completely. For Mark to publicly insult me in the alumni group was something I wasn't going to take lying down. I was really, really mad. Chloe knocked on my door, looking concerned. "My brother just called me. Are you okay?" I laughed, despite my anger. "I'm fine, but can you do me a favor?" I brought out a large box from my bedroom. It contained every single birthday gift Sarah had given me over the past decade. I asked Chloe to hold my phone and record a video. Facing the camera, I smiled calmly and said, "I admit I liked Sarah for 10 years, and this box holds all the birthday gifts she gave me during that time." As I spoke, I opened the box. I once asked my best friend Leo if he'd believe me if I said I no longer liked Sarah. He said no, not unless I threw away all the birthday gifts she ever gave me. Chloe, with a furrowed brow and an unreadable expression, helped me film. Looking at the gifts in the box, perfume, a watch, and her most recent gift, which I still hadn't unwrapped, my gaze was indifferent. Not disposing of these gifts before was an oversight on my part, but I clearly understood that these treasures of the past were now no different from everyday trash. Facing the camera, I smiled lightly. "All right, time to throw all this away." Chloe followed me from the house, down the stairs, to the large dumpster outside my apartment building. Facing the camera one last time, my smile grew wider. "Sarah, I don't love you anymore. From the day you vanished from my birthday party, I let go completely. Mark, I wish you and Sarah everlasting happiness together." With that, I tossed all of Sarah's gifts into the dumpster without a moment's hesitation. A loud crash accompanied the end of my decade-long love for her, and in its place, I felt remarkably and wonderfully relieved. After I finished the video, I opened up my college alumni group chat, which included Sarah, Mark, Leo, and many other mutual friends. I posted the video in the group and added a caption. "Sarah, Mark, I hope you won't bother my life again." When I woke up the next morning, I saw 7 or 8 missed calls on my phone, all from Sarah. She had also sent me a text message. "Did you fall asleep? Call me when you wake up." Her tone was as arrogant as ever. But since things had gotten to this point, I realized Sarah and I couldn't even be friends anymore, so I went ahead and blocked her on everything. My phone, all social media. Instantly, I felt like my world got a whole lot quieter. I left for work with Chloe, who was also heading out. I asked her where she was going, and she just mysteriously smiled and said, "It's a secret. I'll tell you once it's done." When I got to my office building, just as I was about to step into the elevator, Sarah suddenly grabbed me from behind. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she was clearly in a bad mood. "We need to talk," she said. I frowned, glancing at the time on my phone, and then back at her. "There are 10 minutes until work starts. Whatever you have to say, we can talk while walking." Just then, the elevator doors opened. I was about to step in when Sarah pulled me back again. "Let's talk at the cafe across the street." As I watched the elevator doors close, I shook off her hand forcefully. "You're the director of your company's planning department. You're high up, so sometimes being late isn't a big deal for you, but I'm just a regular employee at my company. If I'm late, they dock my attendance award, and my boss will yell at me," I said, my voice filled with annoyance. Sarah compressed her lips tightly, her gaze darkening a bit. "I'll cover whatever they dock from your bonus. Both our companies work together anyway. I'll talk to your boss." I couldn't help but laugh coldly. "Is this your first day working in the real world? If you speak to my boss on my behalf, are you trying to make sure I never get a promotion in this company?" Sarah's eyebrows furrowed. "You didn't even like your job in the first place. When you applied, wasn't it just because I was working on the 22nd floor? If things don't work out for you here, you can come to my company. I'll take you in." Her way of speaking was as prideful and condescending as ever. It was true that back then, I had worked hard and prepared a lot just so I could be closer to her, and I finally got into this company. The funny thing is, she knew exactly how I felt about her, but always pretended not to see it. But there's one thing Sarah got wrong. I smiled at her and said, "I truly like my job right now. I won't struggle here, and even if I did, I would never come to you to take me in." Sarah fell silent, looking at me with a deep, searching gaze. After a long pause, she said, "I'm going on a business trip for a while. Wait for me. I have something important to tell you when I get back." Later that day, Chloe called to invite me for dinner. By the time I got out of work, she was already waiting downstairs for me. At dinner, she told me her secret. "I have to go to City B tomorrow morning." I was puzzled. "Why are you suddenly going to City B?" Chloe laughed. "Actually, I came to this city to sell some of my songs. A music producer liked a few of my compositions and wants to buy them. But after we met today, he said I had good looks and wanted to sign me as an artist. Their main office is in City B, so I have to go there with him." I chuckled. "That's awesome! Maybe you'll release your own album someday." Chloe pressed her lips together tightly, a complex look in her eyes, as if she had something else she wanted to say. With Sarah on her trip and Chloe moving to another city, my life seemed to go back to how it was before, but it felt slightly different somehow. While Chloe was in City B, she would text me every single night. About a week later, it suddenly started pouring rain. By the time I got home from work, I was soaked to the bone and ended up with a fever that night. When Chloe texted, I was burning up and didn't even notice. It was her call that woke me up the next morning. As soon as I answered, my voice came out hoarse and sore. "What's wrong with your voice?" Chloe asked worriedly. "Are you sick?" I tugged at my dry, chapped lips, chuckling softly. "It's nothing. I got caught in the rain yesterday. Might have a little fever. I'll take some medicine and push through." "All right, take care of yourself," Chloe said. "I have to go now." I smiled, said goodbye, and hung up. The moment the call ended, a wave of loneliness washed over me. Maybe I've just been single for too long, feeling so vulnerable and alone when I'm sick. Suddenly, I wished there was someone to keep me company. But I'm not as lucky as Mark. Back then, when he was job hunting in a strange city and things got rough, he called Sarah. That night, she left my birthday party and spent the entire night driving to be with him. When Chloe showed up at my door that afternoon, I was genuinely shocked. She was dragging a suitcase and looked worn out, her eyes filled with worry as she glanced at me. As soon as she came in, she went straight to the kitchen to boil some water and started making porridge. Her return was so sudden that I felt she must have had a reason. I couldn't help but ask, "Why did you come back all of a sudden? You said you might stay in City B for good." She smiled nonchalantly. "They did want to sign me, but I refused after I saw the contract." "Why refuse?" I asked, confused. "Don't you want to release an album?" "There was a clause in the contract saying I couldn't date for 5 years," Chloe explained, "and I'm not willing to wait that long." When she spoke, there was something bright and determined in her clear eyes. I remembered the day I went to the airport to pick her up, thinking to myself how grown up she seemed. But now, facing her, I suddenly felt a pang of guilt, and my eyes started to dodge hers. After a long pause, Chloe took a deep breath and looked at me seriously. "Ethan, I've liked you for 5 years. Will you be my boyfriend?" I was stunned. After a moment, I panicked a bit, saying, "You're Leo's sister. I need to talk to Leo about this." She suddenly held my hand tightly, her gaze soft as she smiled. "Do you really think my brother doesn't know?" I looked at her, puzzled, and asked, "Do you have any regrets? There was such a great opportunity for you in City B." She smiled and shook her head. "No regrets. If I missed out on you for any opportunity, that's what I would truly regret." At that moment, I felt a mix of emotions stirring inside me. I looked at her, a genuine smile spreading across my face, and said, "All right then, let's be together." After Chloe and I got together, she would often show up at my office around the time I got off work. Pretty much everyone at work knew I was in a relationship and that I was dating a younger girl. One morning, right when I got to the office, my coworker next to me teased, "Does she know you're in a relationship?" "What's up?" I asked. "The lady upstairs just got back from her trip," he said. "I ran into her in the elevator this morning. She's usually so cold and doesn't talk to us. But today she actually spoke to me and asked about how you've been lately at work." My coworker mentioned that after he told her I was dating someone, Sarah's face had darkened. I just shrugged it off, not caring much. Since Sarah got back, she hadn't sought me out, which I saw as a good thing. About 3 days later, I got to work and heard there was a big personnel change on the 22nd floor. Sarah had been on her business trip for almost 2 weeks and had secured a crucial order for the company, one that significantly affected her chances for promotion. Now she had been promoted from director of planning to vice president of the company. I always knew Sarah was talented, but her rapid promotion honestly surprised me. During my lunch break, Sarah came down to see me. "Sorry," she said. "I've been so busy with work these days, I didn't get a chance to come see you." I calmly replied, "It's understandable, and you don't need to see me." Sarah smiled knowingly. "It's been so long. Aren't you done being mad? You deleted all my contacts. Can we add each other back?" I looked at her in disbelief. Her tone was so confident, so certain. I couldn't help but chuckle. "You didn't think that video I posted in the alumni group was just a joke, did you?" "I know you're mad," Linda said, "but even anger has an expiration date. It's been so long. Do you really want to end our friendship over that?" I couldn't believe my ears. Did she really think I was just mad, and that after calming down I would go back to chasing after her, always liking her from a distance? Just then, my phone rang. It was Chloe. I answered, and my gaze softened instinctively. Chloe laughed over the phone. "The big money from selling my song just came in. Let's celebrate tonight. What do you want to eat?" "My treat." "Okay," I chuckled. "I'll think about it and text you later." After hanging up, I looked up and caught Sarah's cold, dark stare. "Are you serious about her?" she asked coldly. I glanced at her nonchalantly. "What else?" Sarah smirked sarcastically. "Wake up. She's so much younger than you. Are you basically raising a kid?" I didn't even bother to respond, just dropped a line and walked away. That night, it was already 10 p.m. when Chloe dropped me off. After we got together, I found out that Chloe's parents had secretly bought her an apartment in the city. She had initially lied about being a poor student with nowhere to stay, just so she could live close to me, turning that into an opportunity. As for Leo conveniently forgetting the time she would arrive, that was just part of their coordinated plan. We held hands and walked to my apartment building, and when it was time to say goodbye, she naturally leaned in and kissed me. Suddenly, a mocking voice interrupted us. "What are you two doing?" Sarah's gaze swept over Chloe's face, letting out a sneer before giving me a steely look. "Ethan, come over here now, and I might overlook this," she said with a stern face. I was amused by her arrogance. "Sarah, what makes you feel you have the right to order me around?" She spoke in her usual haughty tone. "Before I left, I told you to wait for me. I'm back now, so I'm here to clear things up." She paused, then continued. "I broke up with Mark. Let's be together." I was shocked. She broke up with Mark? I had chased her for 10 years, always knowing that Mark was the one she could never forget. I still remember on the day of our college graduation, Sarah had planned to confess her feelings to Mark, but he was confessed to by a well-known, second-generation rich kid, and they started dating. That night, I stayed with Sarah as she drank until she was wasted, watching her cry over Mark, watching her pain. It was then I realized that even someone who seemed so heartless to me could love someone else so deeply. That's why when I found out she was finally with Mark, I gave up completely. When I snapped back to reality, I saw Chloe beside me with a sly smile on her lips and a hint of coldness in her eyes. She looked at Sarah, her tone sharp. "Are you daydreaming? Trying to steal my boyfriend right in front of me?" Figuring I wouldn't react, Sarah scoffed. "You're just a fresh graduate. Can you build a stable life with him? Or are you just expecting him to support you?" Chloe tightened her grip on my hand, smiling confidently. "Have you investigated me? I admit my income isn't super high, maybe $1 or $2 million a year, but I own a house in this city and I plan to buy a nice car soon. I earn my own keep and I don't rely on anyone else. I believe I can support myself and Ethan just fine." I paused in surprise, asking Chloe, "Are you kidding? How do you earn that much in a year?" Chloe laughed. "I'm not joking. I've been managing a studio selling my songs during college, and it's been very profitable." Her voice paused as she glanced at Sarah before adding, "I declined the deal to join a girl group during my trip to City B, but I signed a top composer contract, so my earnings this year should double last year's." With each word Chloe spoke, Sarah's expression darkened. When she finished, she looked provocatively at Sarah, smiling. "So, may I ask, what do you earn yearly that makes you confident enough to assume you wouldn't drag Ethan down?" Sarah frowned, discomfort clear on her face. After a moment, she laughed. "You're young and not settled yet." Before she could finish, Chloe cut in. "I've liked him for 5 years. My mind is quite settled. If it weren't for not being of legal marriage age yet, I'd marry Ethan right now." I had always thought Chloe was really easygoing and gentle, but tonight she showed me that she was also independent, rational, and full of courage when she's in love. When I first got with her, I think it was because I was touched by her confession and also feeling a bit lonely inside. But now, watching her stand up to Sarah without holding anything back, I could feel my heart getting warmer. I was pretty sure that I had fallen for her. Before Sarah left, she was her usual high-handed self. She glanced at me and just said, "I gave you a chance. You didn't want it." After that, Sarah and I still worked in the same building. Sometimes we'd see each other in the elevator, but it was like we were strangers. A few months later, on some random night, I got a call from one of Sarah's friends. "Ethan, can you come get Sarah? She's drunk at a bar and crying, calling your name. She won't leave unless you come get her." I was already woken up by the call, and hearing Sarah's name made me frown deeper. I just said, "Sorry, I'm really tired. You'll have to figure it out yourself." I was about to hang up when her friend suddenly started yelling at me. "How can you be so heartless? Sarah's so into you. I've never seen her like this over a guy." I hung up right then. No one could really understand. I liked Sarah for 10 years, and those years were not easy for me. And now they say Sarah likes me? That was the biggest joke I'd ever heard. The next day at work, I heard a rumor about Sarah. Everyone was talking. I heard that Sarah from upstairs drank herself into the hospital last night over some guy. The coworker next to me asked, "Was it you who made her so upset?" I shrugged a bit. "What do you think?" My coworker laughed. "I doubt it. If she liked you, it would have happened by now. Plus, you guys haven't seemed close for a while." See? Even my colleagues had our relationship figured out so clearly. Chloe bought a ring and planned a proposal. She said that even though she wasn't legally allowed to marry yet, we could get engaged. Then we'd wait until she was old enough and make it official. She said she wanted me by her side for life. I accepted her proposal, and our status changed from boyfriend and girlfriend to engaged. Chloe even bought a car and would often pick me up from work. One night she was busy and couldn't pick me up, so I took the bus home alone. Downstairs, I ran into a worn-out-looking Sarah. In my mind, Sarah was always so proud and put together, but that night she looked totally different, frail and exhausted. She came up to me and grabbed my wrist, her bloodshot eyes staring intently at the engagement ring on my finger. "You're engaged?" she asked, her voice full of shock. I just said yes. She suddenly seemed to lose control, reaching for my ring. I pushed her away, stepping back a bit. "Sarah, look at yourself." But she just kept staring at my ring, angrily saying, "You've been with her for such a short time. How could you be engaged? You've liked me for 10 years. She kept coming closer, as if she were in a trance. Panicked, I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face, accidentally leaving a mark on her cheek with my ring. It was a shallow cut, but there was some blood. At least the slap seemed to bring her back to reality for a moment. "What do I have to do to get you to come back to me?" Sarah asked me. I was angry, so my words were sharp. "Sarah, face reality. We can't go back. No matter what you do, I won't like you again." Once, I was lucky enough to see her proud self break down over Mark. Now I was seeing her let go of all her pride because of me. She raised her head to ask me something, but before she could, Chloe suddenly appeared, pulled me aside, and slapped Sarah hard across the face. The two of them started fighting, with Chloe hitting her with surprising force. I quickly stepped in, pulling Chloe away. "Stop fighting, I'm fine." Chloe was breathing heavily, glaring at Sarah, who now looked like a lost dog with a paper-thin smile on her face. By then, Sarah clearly understood that it was really, truly over between us. After the new year, Sarah was transferred to work at her company's headquarters. My apartment lease was up, and Chloe helped me pack. While we were moving, she found the necklace, the unopened birthday gift from Sarah. She picked it up and glanced at the card that was still next to it. She gave a mocking laugh. "What a wedding gift. More like a way to keep you remembering her." She then casually added, "This necklace seems valuable, but it doesn't really match my style." I couldn't help but smile. "I know what you're thinking. I contacted a charity yesterday. I figured I'd donate the necklace." Chloe came over and hugged me tightly. "Where else can I find a husband who's so stress-free? I must have done something right in a past life to meet you." I kissed her on the forehead and smiled. I thought to myself, I'm the lucky one to have met her.